When searching for sources, it's very important to ensure that said source is legitimate. Some easy ways of doing this are by checking their credentials, reading other information that they have distributed, determining whether or not they have a mission statement that clearly explains their goals and values, and comparing them to other outlets. To use an example, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention gives great information about vaccines, all while providing citations and being subject to review and revision. In contrast, an anti-vaccine website called Jenny McCarthy's Body Count uses heavily opinionated language, does not provide credibility, and makes very general claims without using ample support. How does a site gather and format their information? What kind of language are they using? Do their statements seem extremely biased or generalized without much support? Has the information been reviewed before being released? These are all questions you should be asking yourself when gathering your information.
A compelling hook can attract almost any reader to a news article or segment. Unfortunately, this creates an opportunity to manipulate individuals into providing clicks. These flashy headlines appear on popular social media sites such as Facebook or Twitter. Here's an example of a fake news article title. Law professor says president can be impeached immediately due to evidence against him. What is the evidence? How soon is immediately? Who is the law professor? As critical thinkers, we must read beyond the article title and obtain the full picture.
Anyone can claim to be an expert on a subject, but don't just take the author's word for it. Find out if the author really has the background and credentials to write authoritatively on a subject, or if the author is just sharing their opinion. For example, let's check Mercola.com, which since 1997 has provided information about alternative and natural health therapies. The author of this article is Dr. Mercola. Sometimes an author's credentials are listed on the same page as the article, but Dr. Mercola's background information is linked at the bottom of the screen under About Dr. Mercola. Right here, it indicates his site is opinion-based, but let's find out more. It says he's an osteopathic physician and has been interviewed on national and local news, including the Today Show, CNN, ABC World News, and more. He sounds qualified, I guess, but I'm worried about that disclaimer. Let's search the web to see what others have to say about Dr. Mercola. Maybe I'll want to find another source for my project. Remember, make sure the author of a source is legit before you use the information.
And what about those supporting links? Are they leading you to supplemental information that is actually relevant to the story? For example, a website called the Boston Tribune reported that Marion Robinson, grandmother of the Obama girls, would receive a federal pension in the amount of $160,000 per year. The article provided links to two government websites, the Freedom of Information Act and the official benefits website of the U.S. government, though neither pointed to any information relevant to the story. What's interesting is that even though the outlet that published the story is bogus, that doesn't always mean the claim is completely false. Be sure to follow through and do your own investigating.
Check the date when judging fake news. Family and friends may share outdated articles. News channels may reference disproven studies. However, old studies may not be relevant to current events. Use the most current information to avoid spreading facts from 20 years ago. Of course, some topics require older data, such as a research project on ancient Egypt, but don't use scientific studies from the 1930s because the science has probably been updated.
Is your source a joke? In modern satirical news, writers use humor to exaggerate and make people look ridiculous. Satirical sources include the National Report, World Weekly News, The Onion, and many others. This article from The Onion about a shy congressman wanting to be included in others' crimes may look real, but it's not. You might think it's obvious, but some articles have even fooled major newscasters like the New York Times and Fox News. So if a source seems ridiculous, use the methods we've discussed throughout this video to double-check for the joke.
We all have a tendency to take a position in any divisive issue we come across. What we need to do is to be aware of our stand on these issues. For instance, am I pro-life or pro-choice? Or do I think that wealthy people should be taxed more? These are questions that we may have strong positions on, and it's perfectly normal to do so. But again, we must be aware of such positions. Furthermore, we should avoid limiting ourselves to sites or sources that consistently confirm our biases. We should objectively consider viewpoints that may directly contradict ours. And finally, we should judge an argument based on the strength of the evidence and not on how it supports our own biases.
If you are still in doubt, you can always check with the experts. Holy Family University Library has a fake news guide online where you can find a list of fact-checking sites that can help in distinguishing between truth and rumor. In addition, you can contact the university librarians to assist you with your evaluation. Check the library's homepage for ways to reach out by email, by phone, or in person. All of this evaluation takes time, right? This investment in time is worth it since we all need to take some responsibility for checking the validity of information, especially before we believe it or share it with others.